Hello, I'm Glenn W. Hunter, and with me today is James Woods and Shor Denny, and we are TIPS IE, Trauma Informed Preventive Services of the Inland Empire. And today we're going to approach a topic that is becoming more and more important as we try and navigate education in the pandemic and basically people just performing properly within their roles in this reality. Taking care of teachers. Who's really taking care of teachers? So let's just jump right into it from our perspective. Mental health. What do they have available to them just in terms of mental health as they're about to start school in an unprecedented environment?
In terms of
There are
mental
a
health,
lot of, oh, go ahead, James.
no, ladies first.
Oh, there are a lot of services in the county, right, in the Inland Empire that are there for the residents of the community. There's different call lines that you can call into. There's a 211 number that you can call to get support for mental health services. This is just community residents at large. The school districts are starting with some types of support for their teachers. I know one is a program that we are actually going to be doing, which is a coaching program for teachers to help support them through this time of COVID with, all of the different things that are going on. But so there are a few things, not as much as I think there should be that I know of. James, do you have more resources? Do you know?
Like you said, there is not enough resources for the demand that's going to be happening for our teachers. We do have communal resources where people can, teachers can even go through the union and things like that to hopefully get some mental health services, therapeutic services, counseling. But we need to create more. We need support groups for teachers. We need teachers that have digital ability to be able to have counseling. We need teachers to have rest days. We need teachers to work on a schedule where they're allowed to take some time off because they're going into an environment that is going to be extremely traumatic to their mental health. First of all, they're scared that they're going to get sick. They don't know which kid is basically a walking grenade that can sneeze in their face. They don't know who is going to leave, who was their support. We have a lot of teachers who are retiring because like, hey, I'm not going through this. But those are the teachers who helped the other teachers get through it in the past. I've been here 13 years. This is how the system goes. That's not there anymore with these teachers retiring and so much of an impact on other teachers' mental health. And then when we talk about teachers' mental health and just physical health altogether, we're talking about community mental health. Because after they're done teaching, they're coming back into the community. They're coming back into their homes. So it's that neighbor who's pulling into the driveway just a little bit crazy because she's had a full day working with children and she doesn't know how to feel about it anymore. So no, the answer is there's not enough mental health resources for teachers, but teachers are going to have to create mental health resources for themselves. Like I said, reaching out and creating groups, online processes. The principals are going to have to bring in people to provide some extra mental health counseling, to provide some extra techniques and tools that they can help. They're going to have to bring in some guidelines. They're going to have to create more space and more time for teachers to just chill and relax and not be in fear of their lives. And every school is going to be different because every school is going about coming back into it in a different place. Some schools have access to nature where the teachers can go and teach outside. Some schools have access to break rooms where the students don't have to come in. But this has to be addressed now because the mental health, we're talking about the mind. These are the minds that are teaching our children. So if they're not healthy, what are we doing here? Why do we have them here? So as Shor said, please teachers check out the 911 and the 211. Check out all the resources that are available, but be proactive in creating your own mental health resources and reaching out to and putting some pressure on those principals in those districts to provide some in-school, in-house resources for them.
Oh. So, go ahead, Shor.
When you think about just the fear factor, right? There was on the news yesterday, a school district, I think it was in Arizona, where the teachers, they had done some type of summer school programming and they were wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the teachers got COVID. She followed all of the rules from what they're saying, you know, the distancing, the masks and all of that. She got COVID. Her family got COVID. Some other teachers got COVID and a lot of the kids got COVID and she died, right? So that's a teacher that was trying to follow the school district's plan, trying to do everything correctly. And we heard from her principal last night as he was very, very apprehensive of starting this school year. He did not want another one of his teachers to pass, right? He does not want his youth and the families that he is responsible for to have to, you know, go home and say they have COVID. There was another school that that was reported that on their first day of school, they had a youth test positive for COVID. So they had to close the school after the first day because of, you know, the possibility of contamination. I think that when we're thinking about what our teachers are going through, because they're watching the news and I know they are paying way more attention than I am of what, you know, is happening across this country and how these teachers are trying to cope and, you know, the putting up the plastic around the kids and, you know, everything that they're doing. And it's not, I'm not going to say that it's not 100%, but school hasn't started, right? It hasn't started yet. But these tester areas that we see, it's not positive. So how do we, from a trauma-informed, I'm just going to say the real, how do we make sure that our teachers stay healthy? Do not have them come to the campus, right? There's no way that we can guarantee the health and the wellness of our teachers. I'm really saying this and worried about who's going to see this video because I work with school districts and this might not be politically correct for me to say, but I am very worried about the teachers. And for me, yes, we can do all kinds of plans. They can put mental wellness plans in place before the teachers even get there. The program that we're even talking about that Community Now is doing with the teachers, but there's no guarantee unless it's virtual. So I'm hoping that what our school districts who are still trying to decide what they're going to do, that they go virtual and that most of our teachers deal with the horrible issues that we're going to have to talk about today about being virtual, you know, which has its own set of horribleness, but at least it doesn't mean that the mental well-being of the teachers is going to be as at risk, right, as spiked as it's going to be when we start having stress cases because the teacher coming up to the school site is going to have an anxiety attack and may not be able to come on campus because of the fear that they have of what's on that campus. Think of the students that are going to have the anxiety attacks, the principal. So, you know, I mean, this is a really active stress zone. It's not where you say that somebody down the way or in another state had a gun shooting and the school is freaked out and now my school is taking that community trauma and we're now scared. This is directly affecting them. And each day is a whole new day of exposure. And the way that we're saying it, a whole new day of 14-day quarantine.
Wow. So even as we're thinking about taking care of the teachers, I mean, we start off with the mental health component, you know, how are they coping with it? And it falls right into the physical health component because with people with the propensity to have COVID infections, they're going to have to interact with them because that's unfortunately how a contagious virus works. You know, but I don't think we can overlook the fact that there's a work-life balance component to it as well. Because even for the teachers who are successfully navigating through that, they're still bringing that trauma with them. That tomorrow could be the day. So what would be wise for us to put into place to help them manage that component of it? What tomorrow might bring, just to keep them focused.
And first of all, I second with Shor. As far as this, we really shouldn't have to manage this, but if this is what we're going to have to manage, we have to look at the whole picture. We got to manage the grief. Imagine the grief of losing one of your classmates, of losing your favorite teacher, your principal, one of the parents died. And then we have to manage the repercussions of that. Our teachers, the gyms are closed, so are they going to be going to work out? Are they going to be eating right? Are they going to be taking care of themselves? Are they going to be doing anything except stressing over, am I going to be safe coming to my job? I remember as a kid, we had the bungalows, the classrooms, the extra classrooms in the bungalows, and those teachers used to be mad. They used to be stressed out. You can't decorate a classroom. You can't create an experience. You can't create an environment for active learning and engaging learning. So everyone is suffering, and not just on the physical and the mental level now, because they're not able to focus and they're not able to properly get the exercise they need and the proper instruction. But down the line, these are creating severe traumas in students' lives. And yes, we can adapt. Yes, we could make it at least suitable for people to be on campus. But how many lives are we going to lose in the meantime? How much health? And once again, teachers are a part of a community. They leave, they go out. So their health is affecting everyone in their community. If we want to keep the numbers down, we need to keep those schools closed. And if the schools are open, it's going to have a huge deficit on the physical health of the children as well. How are they able to interact with each other? How are they going to be playing sports and doing things like that if they can't touch, if they can't interact? They have to sit there. They have to be in these bubbles. They have to be in these protected spaces, clothing, mask. We're worried about their being able to breathe. Are they going to be able to see with a mask comes in their eyes and then all of a sudden they get hit in the head with one of those red balls? It's just all the little things that we don't think about. It's very concerning for, as someone who works adjacent to school districts and schools and has been on plenty of campuses in the last several years, and understanding how school campuses work, where that interaction needs to be there. And the small parts of school, the small things of even a teacher being able to have a safe place, like in the lunchroom, to go and talk about what's going on. Oh, little Johnny was doing this today or doing that. How are you going to send somebody to the principal's office when it's already small and you can't, how are we going to have 6 feet from there? It's just so many different little physical things that we don't attribute because we never was really thinking about a pandemic that are going to have a huge effect on how our students, our teachers, our overall educators, the crosswalk person, the bus driver, all these people who are included into a community of a school and then going home and working with their families is going to have a huge impact.
Just think of breakfast.
All right.
When the kids come in to eat, even when we go to restaurants right now, we're able to eat at an outside restaurant. You go in with a mask, but you can't eat with a mask, right? So all of those kids, and even if they do, they do half the school on one day, half the school on the next day, or, however the hybrid is going to be, what's that social distancing look like? How are you going to be able to maintain social distancing for the full day? I just wonder, how what that really looks like in action.
And I
But
think
I
that's going to be
do,
a good challenge. And James, I'd like for you to elaborate on it as well.
I do want to elaborate on some possible solutions. If we have to go into this, let's at least talk about what we can do. So we can bring in some more video classes, and we have access, since we have access to, hopefully they have access to technology where they can incorporate more physical practices. Some of the children who may have felt like they couldn't keep up physically, they may be able to do some of the videos and things. Teachers, hopefully they have opportunity to teach outside more, to walk around the campus more. So hopefully they're encouraged and provided with healthier meals, more water, more hand sanitizer. So hopefully the schools are taking the precautions, because if we're going to do it, we got to do it right. So if we're going to come in here, we got to face the fact that we need to keep teachers healthy, mentally, physically, and emotionally as well. Once again, we have to put those pieces into place now. I wish we didn't have to, but we need to. So I feel like schools' priority should be creating a comprehensive plan that focuses on the emotional wellness, focuses on the momentum, the energy of the students and the teachers. That's going to be depressing when you left the school and then you came back to a biohazard zone. where people are wearing masks and stuff. That's going to be a huge shock. So what kind of programs can the schools teach? We're probably not going to be doing assemblies, but those morning announcements need to be amazing. We're probably bringing meals to the classrooms where the students can eat in the class, or meals to the outside areas where they can eat, and making sure they're getting the vegetables and the fruits and the different things that they need, and making sure that exercise is implemented, because we know that COVID is attacking those with weaker immune systems. The kids who have asthma, they shouldn't be going to school at all. But if they do, they need to have those precautions. Nurses there, and the teachers are involved as well. Everybody's getting way more sunshine outdoors more. Teachers having weekly check-ins, and like I said, a teacher group that provides them with support. Teachers needing to have that familial support. I want to say pay the teachers more, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, another one.
We only got a little bit limited amount of time, but we need to get with health and wellness professionals to start to create positive plans for this to happen, because it looks like it's going to happen. How can we mentally, physically, and spiritually, and I mean spiritual as in the encouragement, the empowerment, the rah, 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 the, what is it called? The word, the morale. There we go. The morale of the school. How do we keep that up? Let's create some comprehensive plans, let's work with some people, some professionals to make it happen, because we want to keep our students educated and our teachers safe. So let's take a look at that now.
You know,
I
I
think
think it's
messaging.
really essential that we embrace that last point particularly and focus on morale, that mental edge that's going to help persevere through some of the challenging times, because we do not have it figured out. We are going to have to pivot at some point, and despite these well thought out plans, we're going to have principals and administrators that are going to have to basically pivot extremely quickly. So when that occurs, how does the tension get managed? We finally have them walking in line, and now we have to change the line. How is that going to work in communicating when that tension comes from above for that quick pivot?
I think one of the first things that would calm everyone down would be taking temperatures at the gate, so that they know that for the day, everyone coming in at least doesn't have a fever. I think things like, those different precautions would be something to help support, what the wellness of the campus and the where they're going. I think in the morning, having some type of a morning program that is dealing with positivity for that day, something that's going to be uplifting in the morning. And that the teachers can go through, even that the students can go through, and that would help uplift them and help reduce the stress of being on campus. I think if they're going to go back to a new campus, it should be a new day. If it's going to be a whole different look, then I think that what the schools are doing is looking at a new way of engaging them. Because you can't use the old going in, as James said, it's going to be completely shocking when those kids go back and see what their classroom looks like now, versus what it looked like before they left. So preparing them beforehand, letting them know that these changes have happened so that they don't walk in and it's a surprise. I also think, preparing the teachers and all of them, the parents, for what this new experience is going to be as much as possible. Doing prep work, I think, will help.
And to speak to the top down is going to be a huge component. I'm not going to ask for them to tell the truth to the people, because I'd be asking for a lot, but at least keep communication with the parents, with the principals, with the educators, with the superintendents. And that can be done. Let's send a tweet on a daily basis. Hey, this is what's going on. No COVID reports today. These are things that we're doing positive. Let's engage with the parents and students where they are. Let's meet them online. Let's have superintendents walking, hopefully, the campus with masks and everything, just to keep that morale up and to say we are in this together, because we don't want to add more fear on top of the fear of COVID, where your superintendent or your director or your boss isn't telling you what's going on. So you're in the dark, you're confused, and then you don't know what to tell the kids. So let's get some level of transparency. like I said, I'm not going to be bold and say the truth, but let's get some point where people at least know what's going on within their school district. The websites need to be updated daily. We're going to be having, hopefully they're going to be having plenty of town halls, plenty of Q&A for parents and teachers, so they can walk through it together, where it's not just, all right, we're switching this today, this school is going to get that, because that leads to more panic, that leads to more fear, that lowers the immune system. When the stress grows up, the immune system goes down and the health issues start to come up. So as they roll out a plan for mental, physical, and emotional and moral support and engagement, they also need to roll out a plan to have constant daily contact with all from top down to bottom up. And it needs to be reciprocal. It needs to be the teachers and even the lunch person speaking to the superintendent, where everybody's communicating, hey, we're in the trenches, we're here serving lunches, we're doing this, we're doing that. I need to be able to communicate to you what I'm seeing, what we're seeing, that things are working, where things are not, and that support need to be there. So the top down, the people at the top of this leadership hierarchy, yes, they have a lot of work to do behind closed doors and all that kind of stuff to figure out what's going on. But their essential job is going to be making sure that the essential workers feel supported, feel heard, feel cared for, so they can do their job, and the kids will be less stressed than what they're already going to be.
Indeed, indeed. You know, we've talked about the tension and the importance of that emotional connectivity, and unfortunately, the absence of the physical interactivity. So we're not transferring virus. You know, I think there's an important component, though, to that physical that we're going to have to find a substitute. I mean, you can't just remove, you cannot eradicate hugs and high fives from a school environment. Just that simple gesture draws people together, makes them more receptive to learning, increases camaraderie, shows the teacher, allows teachers to show they care. But without hugs, high fives, fist bumps, there's going to create a different tension. What what can we do? What are we really sacrificing by eliminating those?
Well, as human beings, we need intimacy, we need touch, we need contact. It's a part of our wiring, it's a part of our biological systems. And when we lack that, we seek it in different ways. We want to feel good by overeating, by drinking, smoking, blah, blah, blah. We want to feel good. We want to feel that. And we want to teach children early where to get safe and positive contact. Um, and even before COVID, safe and positive contact has been shaky because of legal issues and people abusing it. But now is the time to use our words as much as possible. Teachers should have already been affirming their children positively, but positive affirmations, positive words, being able to see the kids, being able to recognize them, and even just deeper than compliment. Hey, you got some nice shoes on, but I'm affirming that you have done better on this test than you did the next day. I'm affirming that when you come to class, I see your smile. You have a whole energy about you that is something that this class needs. So teachers, if they don't have that training already, they need to learn how to positively affirm each other, and especially to positively affirm their children. And for the parents to also understand that, all right, these kids, they need to be held, they need to be nurtured. So let's create some guidelines for that. It's a lot of parents who did not grow up with that positive physical touch. So they lack it. So let's get them trained on, hey, it's okay to hug your child. It's okay to kiss your child. It's okay to let your child, lay on your head, lay on you on the couch and things like that. A lot of parents just didn't know that. So we can't assume that parents know that touch and physical intimacy is important, and that is a huge part of nurturing as a human being. So let's get them equipped with some positive words, and then let's get them equipped with some positive exercises on how they can embrace their children and grow that affirmation. But I feel like without that, yes, there is going to be some children who are going to really try to find it in other ways, and we can just hope that they're safe and they keep their mask on when they do it.
There's going to be a big thing. Right now, though, I think that we are in a moment where physical contact is something that we have realized that we miss, right? Socializing is something right now that coming into what, 5 months of this quarantine thing here, we're like, oh, this is something that I really, really miss. That's why people are going out to the beach. That's why, people are going against these curfews, because we need socialization. We do need that touch, that communication. So the only thing that I could see is that, I just can't think of anything. What could we wear gloves when we high five, right? Going into the classroom, because the kids are going to walk into that classroom. The teacher used to do a high five or whatever. Maybe I think that that's going to be one of the things that is going to be a whole problem here, is that we're not going to stop that physical touch. I don't think that our students are going to allow it, right? Even if the teachers are like, whoa, the student's still going to touch that teacher. The love and the need for that caress is still going to happen, especially if you're talking about youth that have been home with parents that don't know how to touch. When they come back to school to that teacher who was the only one that ever touched them, they're going to demand, almost, I believe, that connection. So I just say that at that point, it's have a lot of sanitizer, right? And make sure that you're using healthy sanitizers, not just any disinfectant, because then we're talking about other physical damages that illnesses that come from the chemicals. So I would be, if I were a teacher right now, I'd be one with a big old stack of my favorite healthy sanitizer, because when my kids came in, I would give them that high five, but we'd just be instructed on what the good thing is, how to do that safely. Because I think if we teach our kids how to interact and connect safely, which I guess would be a bunch of sanitizers all over the campus, so that they are allowed to touch, because I just don't believe that they won't. So, and then we can come into, I guess, our next topic, Glenn.
The mask swap.
The mask swap.
Actually, this one came up twice previously, but my goodness, this embraces school community. And for those that don't know, the mask swap is a hypothetical situation where one child goes to school with a Batman mask, another child goes to school with a Winnie the Pooh mask, and they swap, because that's what kids do. That's how they learn to demonstrate affection and connectivity. And we can't legislate that away. That's part of learning how to be a human. So I defer to my experts on the panel. How do we manage the mask swap?
That is going to be tough. I think, I know when I was a kid, if I left with something like some new shoes or something, I had to bring them back or I got in trouble. So I made sure I brought those shoes back. But when we're talking about something as cool as a Winnie the Pooh mask, I might risk getting in trouble for it. So we got to really, hopefully, educate the kids on the importance of the mask. Because I think sometimes parents just put the mask on the kids and they don't tell them why. They don't tell them what's going on. It took me a while to understand why we were wearing masks. What is this doing? There's going to need to be thorough education around the importance of masks and the health and safety risk that's going on with them swapping, and hope that they get it. That might be one of the first things that the students, step into. They get their temperature and then they see a video on why you do not need to swap your mask.
Okay.
Using those
Exactly.
illustrations, it can be on an iPad. Oh no, because they can't touch it. They can just watch the video and then have a bunch of cool characters and stuff on why it's important to keep your mask, and providing some rewards for them returning with the same mask that they left with. And let's just hope that let's just hope it doesn't end up like those shoes or those shirts that we know, or that beret in the little girl's hair that it just never made it home. So let's just hope it works.
There's also when you're talking about the interaction of the youth, that not wearing masks, right? So to me, when you're talking Winnie the Pooh, yeah, for elementary, those youth are probably going to wear their mask if they, especially the teachers have a lot more control of them having that mask on. I think running on the playground is going to be a little hard. But when we start talking about middle and high school and wearing those masks, I think that we're coming into a whole nother area that where not only is it going to be the ethics or the rules of the campus, where elementary youth, even if the parent doesn't wear a mask, when they get to school and the school tells them to wear a mask, they're going to wear a mask. But if you get a middle school or a high schooler whose mama and dad don't wear a mask and you tell them to wear a mask, see, now we're in a whole different area of how do we get those older kids to wear masks or to keep them on, because they might wear it to come on campus, right? But then, different points that they'll take it off. One of the things I was talking about earlier, and then James, when I see kids on the corners, when I see the youth just walking around, they don't have masks on.
Right.
Maybe one has a mask on and three don't, and they're in each other's faces. They're not social distancing. So we say, for record's sake, they say, and the reason they want to open the schools is that they say that the youth aren't spreading it, right? They don't get it. They're not getting it. They're not dying from it. The youth, they feel, are the better, area of resilience. But when you've got a teenager or a middle schooler who's now being cool because the other ones aren't doing it, and they go home to that sick parent or that high risk sibling, we've got a whole nother situation.
Yeah, it's hard to wear your mask and smoke your jewel at the same time.
Exactly.
Something out.
They do have those ones with the zipper.
So as you can see, we have many challenges before us, but because of the insight of our folks on the front line, Shor and James, we have solutions. They'll have to be tried, they'll have to be tested, they'll have to be modified. But by all means, we have to be ready to pivot. We have to be ready to continue to innovate. And we have to be ready to educate our youth safely and with good health.
And protect our teachers.
Yes.
And without a doubt, protect our teachers. Again, TIPS IE, Trauma-Informed Preventive Services of the Inland Empire. We have James, that yoga dude, Woods.
Whoop, whoop.
We have Miss Shor Denny.
Whoop, whoop.
And in passing, my salutation to you is to remember to be safe. Shor?
You guys stay well and communicate with us. Subscribe, like us, share us, and contribute if you like. You can go to communitynow.info and you can support us. We're looking for sponsors. So if you'd like to sponsor one of our podcasts, just let us know. More importantly, give us comments. Let us know some topics you'd like to talk about and encourage us. Let us know if we're on the right track.
Again, thank you.